All right, guys, it's Copper Cutlass. And what do we have going here? All right, so we got crib blocks in the front. In the back, we don't have anything because what we found out is that the heights are all wrong because my car sits a little nose low, and when you actually load up the suspension to get it square, these cribs don't do anything for me unless I had a different size wheel. This is a 14x7 wheel. We did have a different wheel that probably would have worked because it was about an inch taller, but it's a different bullpen, so it is what it is. We're going to chalk it up to that. But I was able to get the car pretty close with the jack stands. So I got a magnetic level here going on, and I've been putting it on the rocker panel of the car, referencing the very front of the door. I don't know if you guys can see the bubble, but let's see if the flash works or the light. It's pretty close. Now, on the other side, we're off by about 1/4 of an inch. And the reason for that is the way the chassis settles. So this front side always sits lower because my fat ass sits on it. And the back end of the car needs to come down this way on this side. Now, I could raise this side up, and it might be what I will have to do, but in theory, that's not what I should do because you have to split the car in half. And I'm talking like chassis theory here as far as like even regular cars. It doesn't matter whether you're building a tube chassis car, back half car, or whether you're working on a wrecked car with a unit body frame, you have to split the car into quarters because there's a lot of flex, whether, again, full frame unit body, especially full frame cars, they have a ton of flex. So on the front of this car, I might make a wedge to bring it up, or I may put a platform on the back under the jack stand to get this right, because it's actually, I can't raise that back side. The front side has to come up. So I may put a piece of plywood underneath the cribs on the other side to level the car. And we'll be pretty close. I think if we're within a couple of degrees, we're good to put a cage on it. And again, the whole reason for doing this is, so if I was to put this, say, on like a frame machine, I would load up the chassis with chains until it was level. Now, right now, this is a preliminary level check. I will have my angle gauge, and I will mark like at the front of the here and here what degrees we have, and we're going to fine tune it a little bit better. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and put a down and dirty mild steel 8-point gauge, 8-point roll cage bar, whatever you want to call it. And that's what we're going to do. But for now, this is like a preliminary, because our floor isn't level. We know the car doesn't sit level. So we have to kind of tidy things up. And then once, I think if we're within a couple of degrees, corner to corner, we're good because this car doesn't even sit level to begin with. And really, at this point, this car doesn't warrant being taken off the frame and doing a bunch of the things that I really would like to do. Because there's a lot of, and I think I've mentioned this before, there's a lot of like sins in this car that I've just inherently done because of the nature of the build and how this car has been really utilitarian in my advancement of knowledge and what I've been able to do. So, engines, suspension, you name it. This has been a trial and error car. I mean, it's taken us, I started with this car in 2007, and it's taken us this long to get it into the low 1140s, mid 1140s, 1146s. It probably could have gone to 30 if we went out on a really nice day, but neither here nor there. But it's taken a long time. I've had a lot of help from great people, and right now I'm having an awesome time hanging out with my friend at the machine shop. And we've been working on the 427 Chevy, which is destined to go into this car. But I have to start doing the preliminary work for this because the roll bar kit for this car isn't very expensive, and really it's more work than anything. So really my hopes is that I'm going to make templates of the open-ended areas of the frame. We're going to box it like, I have a way to do this with, most people that would probably box the frame may want the frame off. But the last time I did this, I had the local steel shop at a flange to the lower and top half so that I could set the part I wanted in there and box it. Now, I know companies like Hellwig sell all kinds of cool boxing kits, but you know what? For like $120, I can go down to the local steel shop. They're going to do it for me, cut it, flange it where I need it, and notch it, and we're going to be good to go. So it's not going to be like 1/8 plate. What we did on the Pontiac, and it was a huge world of difference, was 110 thickness plate. So that's just under about 1/8 of an inch. And then the idea, since I really don't care about, I shouldn't say this, but I really don't care about cutting up the floor, we're going to end up like making saddle type pedestals for the frame in the areas where we have to do our main four corners. So like our down tube, our main hoop, and then in the back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a nice access hole, and I'm going to end up welding a plate on top of the spring perch to put the down tube into that. So the biggest benefit to that is that we are stiffening the area of the suspension there. And then ultimately we could put a crossbar underneath it for vertical shocks, whatever. Ideally, you would probably want to remove like that whole area and then do ladder bars or something, but we're not. That's just not what we're about. This is going to be a down and dirty install. And by down and dirty, I mean just basic, common roll bar install that's going to be safe. It's going to allow us to run the times. There is a project in the works why it's going to warrant this. And I don't want to give it away until I get together with my buddy Dave and we can talk about it in detail. Now, if we could talk more about cylinder heads, like that last video that we've done in the past that a lot of people have enjoyed, go back and watch that. It's a cylinder head, hoe down, whatever you want to call it. But yes, we've been really busy. Work has been busy. I've been going to the machine shops here and there on evenings, mainly on the weekends, working on the 427 Chevy, working on these old school machines that just work beautiful and you can hold tolerances, and it's really an art. It's been a wonderful experience and I love it. And I get to go from being a builder and also be able to machine them, but I've also been taught a lot. You'd be amazed at the level of detail that somebody can really take into prepping, washing, getting a block ready for machining and afterwards for assembly. And I've learned a lot. It's not that I haven't done enough with my engines, but it's just you can do that much more. And again, it's like doing body work. What I do, I take the extra care to do my job, and this is a different field. And like I kind of crash coursed myself through it because nobody took me by the hand and said, "Hey, this is what you got to do when you build an engine." No, I just kind of figured it out. I've built enough engines to where I can kind of say, all right, I'm decent enough. I've been able to keep this together. My buddy's 10-second Mustang together. Did a bunch of engines for my boss, yada, yada, yada. And ultimately, that 427 is probably going to be hands down the nicest engine I have ever built. That's the graduation build. It's got new pistons, roller cam, badass roller lifters. It's got a lot of nice stuff. And I'm going for it. Why? Because I've been able to do all of the machining for free, but I've also had that educational background with it for absolutely nothing but just a good time hanging out with somebody that I really look up to who, took me under his wing and is teaching me. So that's really important. And that's why the videos have been light. So for you guys out there who have followed for a long time, I'm not ditching the page. I've just been really busy. I've been talking with my friend JJ. Go follow him over at Twin J Racing on YouTube about doing a video. We're trying to get together and do something, and it should be just a good, fun time. Just everybody all across the board has gotten busy in the last couple of years, it seems. And, like Project Enron was epic. And right now I'm getting ready to set this car up for the very, very initial stages of it. And I'm going to have my friends in here helping me because the whole idea is going to be to knock this out in a couple of weekends and not make a whole ordeal out of it. And the weight difference between a mild steel and chromoly cage is about 60 pounds, about half the weight. But really, at the end of the day, I'm not going to worry about that because the price versus cost, the entire install for the mild steel is going to cost me what the kit alone for the chromoly cage would cost. And really, for the 60 pounds, I could put myself on a diet, and there's still a little bit of weight I can take out of the car and make up for it. So don't worry, guys. We always find a way to make the car lighter no matter what. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, kind of filling you in a little bit on what I've been had going on. And hopefully you guys still stick around and have been watching the older videos. And do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and share. Find a cool video, share it with your friends, because we're going to have something cool going on here. And when the roll cage work starts going, I'm going to really have a lot of detailed content, because a little bit more and more my forte, working with frames and stuff like that, since I do heavy collision work. And although a lot of people who do chassis work may not agree, a lot of the same thing applies when it comes to like a unit body car and a full chassis car. There's a lot of points and areas of absorption and strength. And although people call them crush zones, now typically those crush zones in a chassis car would be like areas to stiffen up, because you cannot control the crush. So you have to save that area to save the driver. And you guys have probably seen some gnarly accidents at racetracks, but some of these dudes get banged up, but the chassis did their work. Now, in an automobile accident, the idea is to cocoon the driver, have the car collapse around them, and voila. But we don't have that technology to even test it, theorize about it, or even do anything about it. So what we are doing here is we're just leveling up the car, and we're probably within a couple of degrees as it is. Really, on the other side, the bubble isn't too far in the level, but I have to get my angle gauge on here and do the 4 corners and get them as best as possible to 0, so we can start getting stuff together. And my only fucking thing right now, and I may build some anchors, is that I got the jack stands and the lower control arm bars, and it's a really thin area, so I might actually concrete some anchors down just to kind of keep the car squared down. And I might be able to move a little bit of that weight around, and it's just as cheap as putting some anchors and eyelets in the ground. That'll be sacrificial down the road. So there you go, guys. That's what I've been up to. This video has been long enough. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram as Copper Cutlass. And, yeah, we've been building a 427 Chevy, but we got an Oldsmobile in the works as well. So we'll see you around.